All right, and now next up on the Builder stage, we have a very familiar face. You probably recognize her from the last panel. We have Samantha Lloyd, who is going to talk to us a bit about how AI conquers bias and how no code allows for the democratization of AI. Samantha Lloyd is the co-founder of Metaranx, and she is a digital marketing expert who is always looking for a good content swap or some well-played SEO. Samantha, do we have you here?
Hello, how are you?
Fantastic. I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Sam. Excited to hear your talk.
Alrighty, can everyone see my screen? I'm going to, I think, have to assume that you can. Hi everyone. So welcome to my presentation. It's on artificial intelligence and democratization, as well as ethics in AI and how no code ties into it all. Today, I will be discussing what AI ethics is, why it matters, and how ethical issues are handled today with regards to AI by companies and governments and researchers. I'm also going to discuss what the future looks like for AI ethics and how no code reshapes bias in the field of AI for better and for worse. And I will also share how we can all work towards a future of less bias in AI. So just a bit about me. My name is Samantha Lloyd. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Metaranx. Metaranx, as you learned in the last panel, is a no-code artificial intelligence platform that allows you to use and build AI tools to understand your data. We're currently in closed beta, and we've been fortunate enough to work super close with the no-code community to build a platform that best suits everyone's needs. So bias in artificial intelligence is something that we at Metaranx are trying to improve by opening up the field of AI to the no-code community. I believe that the next evolution in both artificial intelligence and no-code is to merge the two together. But we need to do so ethically and future-minded. It's personally very important to me, but it also has long-term impacts that need to be mitigated proactively. So to start off, let's discuss what AI ethics is. So to help define what AI ethics is, we first need to understand what something is when it has artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, which is sometimes called machine intelligence, is simply intelligence demonstrated by machines as opposed to natural intelligence demonstrated by humans, you and me. So you use many AI tools in your daily lives, and frankly, there's some that I definitely couldn't live without. We even use really controversial tools such as facial recognition to unlock our phones and make app store purchases. So when I say artificial intelligence ethics, I'm referring to the morality behind we or people in general design, build, and use AI tools and machine learning models. It's classified under robot ethics, which covers how artificially intelligent beings may harm or benefit humans in general. So for bias in AI, so a lot of people wonder how bias can exist in machine learning models, and it has a lot to do with how they're built and the data that they're trained on. Again, it goes back to the data sets and algorithms themselves not necessarily being intentional in their discrimination, but that they exclude or ignore data points or do not have enough data points to make fair assessments or predictions. So AI at its base is only as good as the data you provided. So if your data is inherently biased and you, when you're building a machine learning model or an AI tool, are surrounded maybe by a team of people similar to yourself who have the same biases, you will struggle to provide well-rounded data sets to create machine learning models or to build those algorithms or to build those AI tools. And that's consistent with every product. More voices means a more diverse product, a product that works for more people. So further in this field, there are actually not that many people involved in building algorithms and models or writing research papers in AI today. A study on artificial intelligence demographics conducted by the Element AI team in 2019 examined kind of who makes up the AI landscape. And they got data from published research, conference attendees, LinkedIn profiles, and they kind of wanted to illuminate like how scarce this talent is and where the talent is kind of concentrated around the world as it stands today. So these are some stats on it. 71% of all job applicants for AI jobs in the US identify as male. 44% of people working in artificial intelligence earned a PhD from the US, and 77% of PhDs in AI remain in academia. They work in academia. And then women are only represented in 18% of the conference publications. And the asterisk is just to let you know that they didn't have enough information on non-binary. So pulled from my piece for obviously AI's downsample medium publication, I'll share an example of how bias can impact hiring decisions and how these biases can kind of like bake in and scale. So let's say you create an AI tool that allows human resources professionals to scan through resumes. You saw a need for this product because people have an inherent bias when hiring, and HR professionals wish to make better hiring decisions that are more inclusive. So the AI takes in resumes for a company that presents it presents ones that, let's say they hit the right keywords and they seem like a good culture fit based on their interests and their career history. So the HR professional then gets to go through the resumes by the AI, and we have name and other identifying characteristics kind of filtered out to limit that personal bias. So the HR professionals still end up hiring people from certain education backgrounds. As the AI retrains on the successful use of the resume application, it begins only allowing in candidates from those certain education backgrounds, skewing towards affluent and privileged candidates. This bias scales as the AI retrains on the new data, and now you've accidentally created an AI tool with inherent bias, and it's only presenting candidates from certain education backgrounds to the HR professionals. So that's just one example of how even with the best intentions and even amongst teams who are striving to be more inclusive and trying to build more diverse teams can end up having bias influence their work, and then it can become baked in and scale. So this is a quote I really like. Currently, in regards to concerns surrounding AI ethicists, ethicists worry about a lack of transparency, poor accountability, unfairness, and bias in these automated tools. This is quoted from Daryl M. West. He's the VP at Brookings Governance, Senior Fellow of Center Tech Innovation at Brookings Institute, and an author of many books, including Turning Point, Divided Politics, and Future of Work. He writes a lot of great pieces that I like to refer to because they go really in depth about artificial intelligence ethics. So I definitely recommend giving him a Google search. But obviously there is a problem here with regards to ethics and the concern as the field of artificial intelligence grows. So we need a solution, but why should you care? Why does AI ethics even have to matter to you? Maybe you use some tools here or there, but you're more of a user of these products and you're not the company building them. So do you have to care? My personal bias is that I believe we all need to invest in this and that it'll impact all of us in the future. There was a pretty popular incident in 2019 where David Hansen, he's the creator of Ruby on Rails, tweeted that he received something like 20 times the credit limit on his Apple card than his wife, despite that they filed joint taxes together, their credit history matches up and that kind of thing. And then interestingly enough, Apple's co-founder, Steve Wozniak, also noted that he got 10 times the credit limit as his wife, even though they have no separate banking or credit card accounts or assets as well. So in his tweets, Hansen shared that customer support had been very apologetic, but had said that it was just the algorithm, and they're not really sure what's going on. This is a common problem with algorithms, as many of them are built without much knowledge of how they will progress and learn and retrain. And as a result, they kind of become like a black box. This doesn't just affect Apple's credit card, of course, or credit in general. This has an impact on insurance, healthcare, and a lot more. And the challenge isn't always that these algorithms are, again, intentionally discriminatory, but rather that they exclude data that is inclusive. So Apple's was an example of an algorithm that didn't see gender, as gender wasn't an input. And beyond just impacting your health or your financials, there are concerns now surrounding news. So you have something like deepfakes, which I think a lot of people are familiar with now because they're pretty trendy online, and there's some funny videos that have been created with them. But deepfakes, people are now concerned that they can be used to rewrite history. It's not very complicated for someone to release a fake video using artificial intelligence nowadays that looks and sounds pretty real, changing maybe an old newscast or something like that. As well, a surprising amount of journalism is generated by artificial intelligence or with the help of artificial intelligence. So even the big publications, you have Associated Press, Forbes, Washington Post, LA Times, Bloomberg News, they're all actively using AI to assist their journalists with content. It's a brilliant productivity tool. It frees the journalists up to do their research, to do proper interviews, but it also comes with a fair share of controversy. So there are concerns that kind of as bots or artificial intelligence becomes the norm in human interaction, so you're on social, in chats, and in content, then people will be less likely to spot what's fake and what isn't. So for me, this all kind of goes back to the history of big data and consumer data collection and use across the globe. Experts believe that the law will always be playing catch up to the tech industry. And I think that obviously that's a big problem, especially with AI. And when you saw in big data that most of the American population, for example, 83%, they wanted tougher data protections and policies in place, but it's often left up to cities or individual legislators as opposed to national laws to dictate what's acceptable and not. Another example is in May 2018, the EU's general data protection laws just went into effect, and you have California's Consumer Protection Act, which is also similar, that goes into effect this year. When you think about that, it took nearly a decade for those laws to catch up with data collection, and some countries still don't have any consumer protections in place. So that, for me, when I think that, there's 23% of organizations, they already have AI implemented into some part of their processes. And it's important then that going forward, if that's the case, that everyone's going to be implementing AI, and AI is important for every company to move forward and every country to move forward, then we should be addressing it now to make sure that it's handled safely, that there isn't bias and unfairness as we go forward. The stat that I often refer to is that by 2024, AI will be integral to every part of a business. So artificial intelligence is definitely happening, and I don't want it to be like what happened with big data, where we're trying to catch up and fix mistakes we've made. I want it to be a process where, as we move forward, everything moves forward properly together. So in terms of how it's handled today, everyone kind of has a different idea of who should be responsible for ethics in AI. Some believe that it's, the developers who are building the machine learning algorithms. Some believe that it's the data scientists who create and cleanse the data sets for these algorithms. Others say, like I do, that the law really needs to catch up to technology and become proactive as opposed to reactive. And others believe that it's the companies responsible for the creation and distribution of these tools. Of course, I think we need to have a combination of everyone, and I think most people would agree that everything needs to work together in order to achieve the goals here with AI. So a good example of something that a few companies did, in 2016, Google, Facebook, Amazon, IBM, and Microsoft, and then later Apple, OpenAI, and a bunch of others, they joined together to create the Partnership on Artificial Intelligence to Benefit People in Society. It's quite a title. Its role is to conduct research, and they recommend best practices, and they publish a lot of things under open license. I think most people are familiar with OpenAI and how much that they have shared. They also like to share things surrounding ethics, fairness, and inclusivity, a lot of transparency, things about privacy, and then just the collaboration between people and the AI systems, the trustworthiness, everything surrounding this technology. So again, that's called the Partnership on Artificial Intelligence to Benefit People in Society, and that's an interesting thing to look up. And then many companies such as Microsoft, for example, they participate in something called an AI for Good initiative, where if you go to their website, you'll be able to see some of the beneficial impacts that artificial intelligence tools that they've made have had. And so that's also really exciting. So time for the chart of the future. So if we do not choose to include more people in the field of artificial intelligence and accept that we should democratize it, I do think we're going to face a lot of issues. I believe it's going to be kind of like an AI disparity, wherein the haves and have-nots of artificial intelligence capabilities and research and knowledge will continue to grow apart. So the AI market spend is expected to grow to 190 billion by 2025. There's going to be a widening gap between countries and companies that have AI capabilities and those that don't, and it's going to impact GDP growth. And that's, of course, going to cause a bigger disparity between countries, and we don't want that. The other thing, too, is that currently there are only 22,000 PhD qualified individuals working in AI globally. AI is expected to add around 133 million jobs, but net 58 after losses by 2022. there are no more than 3,000 people at a time looking for work in this field. There are a lot of opportunities here, and these are very high-paying roles. Well, it's thought that there's about like 300,000 people who work in AI to some degree with or without a PhD. This is still not enough, even if you count all those, to fill these roles. So according to NY Times, currently AI specialists are offered between 300,000 to 500,000 in salary, including those with PhDs and less education. If we open up this field, we can include way more people in these high-paying tech roles, and I think that's super exciting. And then the other thing is that bias AI systems will continue to increase over the next 5 years. That's a prediction by IBM. That means that there's going to just be this kind of growing demand for trust and transparency, especially when federal agencies and governments start adopting these AI systems. So we want to conquer bias now rather than in those 5 years. And then my favorite stat, the no-code market is growing like crazy, and it's set to hit 53 billion by 2024. Like website development and app development, we know are huge for the no-code market, and there's just no reason why artificial intelligence can't be either. No-code and AI together help conquer a lot of these aforementioned problems caused by keeping the field segmented and niche. We can include more people, countries and companies can have access to it, and we can reduce bias by just having more voices around the table, and I think that's super exciting. So let's talk about the Black Lives Matter movement and what some companies did to handle facial recognition during it. So back to what I kind of mentioned before, where everyone has a different idea of what ethics is and how to handle situations and apply those ethics. So some of the big tech companies move forward to control facial recognition and protect citizens in light of the Black Lives Matter demonstrations, but each company did so differently. Further, some companies jumped at the opportunity to fill the gap and provide their facial recognition services, as well as some companies that were already providing these tools stated that they had no intention of prohibiting the use of federal agencies going forward. So IBM is working towards tackling bias in AI, and they decided that they were not going to, that they were just going to stop using their facial recognition systems. And then Microsoft decided to prohibit it until the laws caught up, and Amazon decided to put a 1-year hold on police departments using their facial recognition. Facial recognition is capable of a 99.97% accuracy when matched to clear images, but in crowded environments such as sporting events, when we look at video, that can hit 36 to 87%, and there's no laws governing the tolerance and errors. This is going to be an $8 billion industry by 2022. Facial recognition is not going anywhere, so we need strong laws and ethics in place going forward. And this is a quote from Jordan Harrod's video: "With facial recognition comes a documented history of inaccuracy when used on the faces of people of color." That is 100% accurate. There is misidentification in facial recognition amongst people of color, often using these tools. But Jordan Harrod, she's a graduate student at Harvard and MIT researching brain-machine interfaces and machine learning for medicine. She has a really great YouTube channel on how AI impacts us personally. So I definitely recommend looking her up. And so how can no code reshape AI ethics and bias? You've learned a bit about AI ethics and I think why it's important to everyone, but how does no code actually reshape it? So I think one of the ways is actually, I hope it encourages everyone to participate going forward. So how do we make these changes then? We democratize and open up the field of artificial intelligence to everyone, but we have to do so sustainably, and it has to be accessible in price and capabilities to everybody. So we're personally providing consumer solutions to AI. There's many companies providing business solutions too. Platforms that allow people to easily collect and interpret their data and make predictions on it are just the start. We want everyone to build AI tools that are important to them and their professional or personal goals. Creating a platform that empowers the user to build an artificial intelligence tool and also to understand AI is exactly what we're striving for. AI doesn't have to be a complicated topic. I mean, we talked on the panel about there's a lot of jargon in the tech industry, and AI, of course, has a lot of jargon as well. And it's about kind of cutting through that and making it very accessible to everyone. And then we also want people who are interested in AI, but perhaps not educated or trained in it, to be able to educate themselves, bring their knowledge and passion to the open source community, or work in the field. It's a long-term goal for sure, but we believe no code is how we achieve this. And through no code, we can shape ethics and bias and reshape it for the better. So it'll be important to keep checks in place as we strive to democratize other fields and AI. So democratizing AI, of course, comes with its own set of challenges. Like, how do we keep checks in place and strive for ethical artificial intelligence if everyone is involved? And I think checks will still need to be manual. People going through the data sets or the tools and recognizing that they're not ethical or that there's biases in there. I think maybe it opens up a whole new role in artificial intelligence, similar to a bug reporting program. You have ethics reporting programs that are community driven and rewarded. So that's kind of like a future that I hope for artificial intelligence and for keeping checks in place as we move forward. And then at Metaranx, we personally decided not to allow facial recognition on our platform. We don't see enough positive use cases for it, so no one will be allowed to build those tools or upload data sets that we believe have that intent. And as a small startup, we will review data sets and tools made on our platform and rely heavily on the no-code community to participate. I think that's what companies just have to do. They have to have people on their team who will keep these checks in place manually, or they have to include the community and kind of be more transparent so that they can make sure that they're striving for the most ethical future in this. And then, so I believe that there are a lot of positive opportunities for including more people in this field through no code. We all know that the tech industry, that having more diverse voices around your table, that creates a much better and more sustainable company. It creates a better culture and your products are better. The same goes for the field of artificial intelligence. Further, we have the community, you can have the community actually participate in checking and monitoring, like I mentioned, what's happening with the data sets and the algorithms. And the more people involved, the more likely to spot biases so that changes can be made early on. Finally, I think we'll be able to have more people actually build and create things for the open source community and the paid marketplaces, which is a really exciting aspect of it for me. And then the negative kind of side, making it easier to build AI tools can enable people who want to build something malicious, like with malicious intent, to do so. It'll open up to companies building no code AI products. I think it's going to be up to those companies basically to put the checks in place and monitor their platform. I know that that's not a scalable solution, but without manually checking, I'm not sure how it could be best done. And then also, I think that we need companies to participate in open source and AI for good and other networks, create their own networks to help lawmakers understand the good and bad to this type of technology and how it needs to be best handled for the most ethical future. And so if you're in the no-code community and you want a less biased future in AI, how can you do that? I think there are a lot of ways. So you can be proactive with what you build. The no-code community is so good at building alongside feedback, and the community is super helpful and honest. When you're building a data set or an AI tool, ask the community what they think. Ask them to participate, ask them if they spot something off. The more people you can involve, the more of an inclusive product you'll build. And I think the no-code community is really great for that. Also, you can build tools that actually help conquer some of the issues in AI today. So maybe you can create one that spots bots on social media or news that seems bot generated, just so you can take a closer look at what you're interacting with online. Another way is that you can participate in the open source community in AI. A lot of talented data scientists upload their created and cleansed data sets to Kaggle and a bunch of other open source communities. A lot of people outside data science or AI or even tech aren't aware that these sites exist, and they're amazing. It takes time to learn how to format data for each type of model and algorithm, but you can learn how to build and provide labeled data sets and then share them for free with everyone. Maybe you have like beautiful photography or super niche blog content, and that would make for a really cool data set. If you take a look at Kaggle and some other websites, you would not believe how much cool open source data is available and the types of data sets that people look for and upload. It's really awesome. And I kind of envision a future where you can sell AI tools and data sets and other components that you create. So as a no-coder, you can make AI tools and then sell them, run a business or a startup off of them. And I think that's really exciting. And then finally, try some open source tools out. Don't be shy about participating in artificial intelligence or machine learning. Everyone is learning, myself included. My background is not AI. It's not data science. I'm bound to get things wrong. often. I cannot tell you how many hours I spend fact checking my blogs to make sure that I'm right. But it's okay to learn and try a new field. And I think that's what's so exciting about no code is I think it empowers everyone to be able to try new fields. An example was GPT-3. I think everyone on Twitter was excited about that, even though most people don't know how it works or why it works, just that it does work, and that's awesome. So if you want to be part of this field, find a way to use open source tools, attend online lectures, watch a bunch of YouTube videos, and just get involved and start asking questions. So I want to thank everyone so much for attending my presentation for the Zeroqode conference. A really big thank you to Zeroqode as well and all the organizers involved in this virtual conference. It's a huge undertaking to plan this, so I really appreciate it. I know the no-code community really appreciates it. I think we have a few minutes for questions, and I guess you type them in and the moderator will decide which ones to push through. But again, thank you so much, everyone. It was really great getting to present.
Thank you so much, Samantha. It was really great to hear from you and really great to hear about how AI and no code can bridge together. As someone who is a massive nerd and totally obsessed with AI and how it works, I know I was definitely super fascinated by it, and thank you so much for that. We did have a few questions coming in. I'm glad you mentioned the GPT-3 because one of the main questions that came in was about that. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it right off the chat. GPT-3 product has seemed to dominate headlines since its recent release, especially in relation to the bias it has for AI demonstration. What has your team learned from GPT-3, and how does your team see it impacting the no-code community?
So GPT-3 is exciting because I think for the first time, a kind of no-code AI tool really made headlines. Not AI tool is the wrong term, but it really excited a lot of people. I think people who aren't even in AI or no-code or any of this space saw GPT-3 and they're like, that's cool. I can do something with that. So in terms of how it impacts us, we're a bit different in that we let you kind of take building blocks and build AI tools. I definitely see people using GPT-3 in the future. It's not something that we're planning to integrate onto our platform, but if you enjoy it and you can use it, then use it.
Sure, for sure. And then just a quick question here. Have you ever heard of Rosebud AI and what they're doing over with Leisha Lee?
I have not heard of them, but I will Google.
Highly recommended. They're doing a lot of really cool stuff to do the auto-generated face models, which is unbelievable, the things they can do there.
Yeah, like that. This face
yeah.
does not exist or whatever, where people were like,
it's exactly that.
Okay.
Yep, it's
Very
the same
cool.
sort of idea there. Yep,
Awesome.
Totally. So one other question that we had come in is, how good is computer vision in tracking objects in video motion in terms of accuracy right now?
So I don't know if anyone here knows about Teachable Machine by Google, but that's one that kind of lets you do like image and video, and you can upload like your own kind of images. They do need a lot of data. So you would, there's an example where they teach the machine to recognize like YMCA, and the person has to kind of show what a Y looks like from every angle and every lighting of them. The camera, like it does seem to track the person pretty well, but the more data you can provide any sort of vision or image recognition, the better it will be. So instead of just having one image of a person, having multiple angles, different lighting, that's always the best that you'd want to have.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Samantha. That was all the time we had, but it was great to hear from you. Your talk was really awesome, really enlightening. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, so much. It was really fun.